Get me that signal. We need more power.
Thousands of years ago, mankind fought for control of an area in the Middle East known as the Fertile Crescent, located around the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and more commonly known as Mesopotamia. War and conflict was commonplace in Mesopotamia. Or was it? Hidden away on a dusty shelf in a British museum is a board game called Tigris and Euphrates, designed by an ancient scholar known as Kinesia. Was this game used to settle conflicts and avoid bloodshed in ancient Mesopotamia? We'll find out! Ugh. Today, on Mysteries at the Board Game Museum. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers formed a fertile land ideal for farming and the advancement of human civilization. Until now, it was believed that war was a way of life in Mesopotamia, until the discovery of a board game so advanced and yet so simple that experts agree it could have had but a single use: to resolve conflicts before they could lead to actual war.
Yes, I believe it is apparent that this game dates back thousands of years, and yet looks as if it could have been printed yesterday. And this leads to many questions. How did they print it? What kind of strange materials were used for the pieces, which appear to be some form of advanced plastics? I'll tell you how. It was ancient aliens.
Did ancient aliens actually visit our planet thousands of years ago and provide this game as a peaceful alternative for solving conflict? Some experts say yes. Let's take a closer look at the game so that you can decide for yourself. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick overview on how Tigris and Euphrates is played. This is a game already in progress. It's all set up. The game starts with a board completely blank of tiles and leaders and plastic and all that, except for these 10 spaces on the board. You take these little temple tiles and you place them on top of the 10 spaces. And on top of those, you place these little treasure tokens, and they go out there as well. So you'll have these 10 spaces filled with these temples and treasure tokens. Temples are important because your leaders that you have, and each player starts with 4 leaders. And you play the whole game with 4 leaders. Okay, they're each in one of the 4 different colors. The tiles are also in these 4 different colors. You have settlements, you have traders, you have temples, and you have farms. And as you can see, there are tiles that correspond with each color as well. And these are connected because you can earn points, which is the whole object of the game, is to earn points based on the color leader and the color tiles that you have placed. The object of the game is to score as many points as you can in each of the 4 different colors. Each of the 4 different colors has their own little point tokens, and the end is kind of weird because what counts is your lowest score that you have in each in the 4 colors. So, for example, if you have a score of 20 black points, 20 blue points, 20 red points, and 15 green points, that means your final score is 15 because that's your lowest amount. All the other players also figure out their lowest amounts, and then you all compare those. And whoever has the highest of those lowest amounts is the winner. So what that forces you to do is to balance your points so that you earn points in every color, because it's important to get all your scores up as high as you possibly can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just run through this real quick so you can see kind of how the point scoring works. You have 6 tiles at all times behind your little screen. You also keep your points behind your screen. And each time you play tiles at the end of your turn, you draw back up to 6. So, for example, here, let's say the bull player places a temple here. Now, normally you wouldn't get to score a point for this, but because the red leader is not present, but the black leader is, and he can score points in any color because he's the king, as long as the other color isn't present. So he is going to score 1 red point for placing that tile, and then he's going to place a black settlement tile, and so he will score 1 black point for placing that. So he puts that behind his screen. Now he's taken his 2 actions, but as you can see now, he has joined these 2 treasures together. They're both within his kingdom now. Since his green trader is present, he gets to pick one of those treasures and keep it. And these treasures are important because they count as a colorless point. So at the end of the game, you can add these treasures to your lowest score in order to boost that up. If the green leader wasn't there, he wouldn't have been able to take that treasure, but he was. So now he's got 4 tiles. He's going to draw 2 more, place it behind his screen. Then we switch to the next player, and let's see what he's going to do. He is going to, now blue tiles can only be placed on rivers, and they're the only tile that can be placed on rivers. So he's going to place a blue tile there, take a blue point, and then he is going to place his red leader out next to that temple. And that's his turn. He picks up another tile, and we move on to the next player. So as you can see, these can go pretty fast. You can get bogged down if you start thinking too much. Once there's a lot of tiles on the board, you'll start thinking about it, but really the game plays pretty quickly, I've found. The lion player decides he's going to strengthen his position a little bit and place a temple, and he will get a red point because his black leader is there. So he's going to place a temple there. Your basic strength is the number of temples you have next to your leader. And this comes important because there's conflicts in the game as well. There are revolts and there's wars. And for his other one, he's just going to place another temple right here, get 1 more red point, draw 2 more tiles. And with the last player, I just wanted to show you one important thing. We're going to place a blue tile here, collect a blue point, and then he's going to place a blue tile here and collect another blue point because his blue leader is here. And now you see we have a square of 4 blue tiles. This is a special case, and what you can do is you can build a monument if it is available. So you flip the tiles over, and they form this nice little square, and then we have a set of 6 monuments that we can choose from. Now, one of the colors on the monument has to be either green or, no, it has to be blue because the tiles are blue. So one of the colors has to be blue, and as you can see, each of these monuments comes in 2 colors. This one is green and black. We have blue and red. So he's going to pick blue and green because he's got a blue leader and a green leader here. And you'll see why that's important in a second. Now that this is placed, this monument's going to stay here the whole rest of the game, and at the end of the turn, he gets 1 point for each leader that he has of the corresponding color in that kingdom. So if he's got a green leader, he'll get 1 green point, and if he's got a blue leader, he'll get 1 blue point, which he does. So at the end of his turn, he gets these extra points. And those can become really crucial throughout the game. There's only 6 monuments, and you can actually lose control of the monuments too through the wars and revolts. But right now he gets these 2. As you can see, those monuments can make a big difference. The only other thing I haven't talked about is the 2 types of conflicts, and those are revolts, which a revolt occurs if you take a leader of a color and place it in an area where there's already a leader of that same color. What this does is cause a revolt, and this will be resolved with only one of the leaders remaining on the board once it's over. The other type of conflict is an actual war, and that happens when two empires actually get connected together by a tile, which you would be purposefully doing. So you know what's going to happen when you're going into it. So let's say we connected these two. Now these two empires are connected, okay, orthogonally. So now there's two green leaders in this kingdom, and that can't happen. So now a war would break out, and the end result of this would be that there would only be one green leader left, and all of that green leader's green tiles would also come off the board too. So that's the other type of conflict in the game. And you play this whole game throughout until you run out of tiles or until you get down to one or two treasures, and then you add up your scores. And that is how you play Tigris and Euphrates. My only final comment on this is, I know it's a great theme and all that, but man, wouldn't it be awesome if there was a Westeros-themed version of this game? I'm just saying. Come on. It would be awesome. All right, thank you.
Incredibly, our researchers have discovered copies of Tigris and Euphrates in different versions and different languages all over the world. This version is believed to have been created by an ancient alien race known as Fantasy Flight, a name obviously indicative of their alien origins. The rules have not changed much between the different versions we have found, the main difference being the components. Fantasy Flight uses a strange plastic for their leader and monument pieces, as compared to the tokens and wooden pieces from other versions. This is more a matter of preference, but it's obvious that the plastic components will last thousands of years longer than the wooden ones. Other versions have used a form of colored cubes for point scoring, while the Fantasy Flight version uses 1 and 5 point tokens. While these tokens are easier to add up at the end of the game, the cubes do provide a pleasant tactile feel to the game. The cloth bag for the tiles is quite nice and of good quality. The rules are simple, and yet complex at the same time. By that I mean that there's a lot to take in initially, but once you know them, they become second nature. To be honest, I used an Android app to teach myself how to play the game, and after that it was easy to teach the actual board game to others while using the rulebook to look up any questions that popped up during play. One thing that I did not like about this particular version is the player's screen. It's fairly small and inadequate. The back of the screen has some great player information on it, but you'll either need to pick it up to reference them, or lower your head down to almost the tabletop to read them. And I think something a bit bigger would serve the purpose better. The game itself is a masterpiece of gameplay. I love that a 2-player game plays very different from a 3- or 4-player game. In the 2-player version, you'll usually have more time to cement your own empire before you come into conflict with your opponent. But you can't wait too long, or you might find yourself in a point race that you cannot win, and you don't even know it. With 3 or 4 players, conflict usually begins much sooner, and you'll need to concentrate more on strategic conflicts rather than shoring up your own empire's point production. You can even start a war between your opponents, which will help one of them, but will hurt the other. This can be a very viable strategy in the right circumstances. There is so much you can do to strategically impact the outcome of this game that I believe this was one of the first games that coined the phrase, easy to learn and tough to master. Each tile and leader placement has an impact. The ability to force another player to remove a leader through revolt or war, and your own ability to move an already placed leader has a big impact. And catastrophe placement can change the game at the right time and in the right space. The board is double-sided, and the reverse side provides a few more treasures and an extra area where blue monuments can be placed. Other variants include several buildings which can be placed over tiles in a line, and a wonder tile that can be placed over similar tiles shaped in a cross pattern. But the wonder variant is harder to pull off, and the reward, 1 point each turn in any color, isn't that big a deal. You're better served by concentrating on gaining and keeping the available monuments. This is the first time that I've played Tigris and Euphrates, and I'm just amazed at the strategic depth to this game. I loved it. It plays more quickly than you would believe, mostly due to the fact that all of the other players' points are hidden, so you can concentrate on what you need rather than what everyone else has. It's a game of conflict, so I recommend you don't play this game with those who don't enjoy player versus player direct action in their games. For the rest of us, this is one of those games that you want to play over again once the game finishes, just to try out a different strategy. Whether or not the ancient Mesopotamians used this game to resolve their own conflicts will remain a mystery.
Hey there, that's my game. What are you doing with it?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Tigris and Euphrates. I left it on a shelf in the museum. I've been looking all over for it.
There you have it. Mystery solved. Thank you for joining me in this review of Tigris and Euphrates from Fantasy Flight Games. Let me know if you found this review helpful by leaving a comment or sending me an email at elliot_miller@voiceofe.com. Make sure to subscribe to the Voice of E channel on YouTube, as I'll have a lot more thematic game reviews and some board game giveaways, and you won't want to miss any of them. Please tell your friends to check out the Voice of E, and hopefully they will subscribe too. Thanks again, and until next time, keep your mind free.
Get me that signal. We need more power.